Cool. What's up, boss? I've got Demar on the line. You want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself?
but going on? What's going on? I go by the name of Demar Aaron from New Jersey, out in LA right now. You know, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, I'm just hanging out here. I'm doing my best to help support independent musicians and artists throughout
Yeah,
the world.
man.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
we can start with you and having you tell people your story and how they can get like you. So, word on the street is you are a Grammy nominated producer. How did that come about?
man, that's such a blessing. Grammy nominated, 2017. I actually worked on Maya's project. I don't know if you remember Maya back in the '90s and the
Okay.
early 2000s. Yeah, she had the big record with Jay Z, Best of Me.
Cool.
So yeah, a friend of mine I went to high school with, he sent her to my studio out here in LA, and we ended up working with her. We weren't even supposed to write on the song with her, and her
Right.
songwriter ended up not showing up to the studio session. So my partner and I, we just ended up jumping
Big mistake on
on
his
the
part.
song and writing, and it became, you know, that relationship, which eventually turned into a Grammy nomination. So
Cool. Well, that's congratulations. So you said that it was your studio, and you and your partner decided to write with her. So besides just owning the studio, and besides create doing the sound engineering, which I'm assuming that you do, and producing
right.
the track, you also songwrite as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I consider myself mainly a producer.
Okay.
Now I'm sort of moving into some like artistry and a lot more songwriting. But along with the artistry, I do run a company, a media company as well with my partner who I mentioned earlier.
Cool.
And we do like production, film scoring, a lot of film and TV stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, I also produce, songwrite, I pretty much do it all. Sing. Now that's what I'm stepping into now, this artistry.
Okay. And what
Being
inspired you to take this latest step?
it's always been something that was in me. I was definitely performing since I was a kid. I was always, singing and, performing in concerts. I had the chance to tour the world when I was young, and I was touring singing. So it's always been something that was in me. I just kind of found production, and I really like dived into production, and I wanted to be a producer for a long time, but now it's just something I can't really contain. Now it's, a lot more eyes on me, of course, because of my production.
Yeah.
So people are starting to notice, like, oh, he produces, but oh, he sings too.
Yeah, let's
So
talk about one of your latest projects, Things I Should Have Said. Is that's what it's called, correct?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
And
Things I should have said.
what inspired you to write that? Maybe memories, or was it a relationship, or how did that process start when you decided to write?
Man, things I should have said. That man, life inspired me.
Yeah, for
That's like it's just real life. And it's like I just always felt like somebody told me when I was younger, always say what you mean and mean what you say. And I just feel like I was never the best at that. Like I feel like that's one of my biggest flaws, especially in a relationship.
Mhm.
So the only time I really, feel like I'm great at doing that is when I'm writing my music and when I'm singing my music. So I
Yeah.
just felt like in this climate, this music climate that we're in, where everything is so raw and everybody wants to hear the real and they want to know your business and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna just, write about things I should have said. I'm gonna just talk to you through my music. Talk to whoever.
Definitely necessary. I feel like everybody's got a certain someone they can relate to, when it's
Right,
like I
right.
should have. Sometimes I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know, just instead. Hey, maybe that'll be the follow up. What I should have said instead. Well,
What I
uh,
should have said instead. That's funny.
who knows? Who knows? But that's dope, though. That's awesome that you've been able to really follow your dreams. And how did you kind of get some of this confidence? I would say to kind of pursue your path. You mentioned that you were
Um,
going to tour when you were younger.
yeah. I went to a middle school that was a choir school. So
Cool.
we that was what we did. It was like regular school, and then after that we sang. We had choir rehearsal, and we traveled the world. I've been to a
Wow.
bunch of different countries singing and performing. So I think it was just always instilled in me. But my faith played a big part in it. Um,
Mm.
the church and stuff. I grew up in the church, of course, and it was just something that came naturally to me, and like it's a big part of my life. So I think that helps in everything. Like when I have a goal, when I have a dream, I just always have my faith as well. You know what I'm saying? So that definitely played a big part.
Very cool. And so you left the choir school. Obviously, that was middle school. So you went through high school.
Yeah, I
Um,
went to a performing arts high school
okay, and this is all in California.
in New Jersey. I'm
Oh, New
from New
York.
Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I actually spent a lot of time, about 8, 9 years out in New York. So that's
Oh
cool.
wow.
Coast, yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
when did you learn to produce? How did the producer side of you come about?
Man, I made my first. I learned how to use my first drum machine in high school, my senior year of high school. One of my close friends, they taught me inside of a music production class that they just had put together at my school this semester, that certain semester, and he taught me how to use the drum machine, and I made my first beat then. But it wasn't until like I got to college and I really like fell in love with producing. Um, I started to make beats, and I was like selling beats, and that got me like, oh, I can really like do this for a living.
Yeah,
I sold my first beat in college. It was crazy. So I was like, all right, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life.
right. So what was the feeling like when you got the Grammy nomination? And what is that process like? Did you get an email? Did you get a phone call? Did
Man,
myself come back from the dead and let you know? Like how did that happen?
you the crazy thing is, like, you think it happens that way, but it happens nothing like that. It's like you think it's like, oh, they'll send you something in the mail and with a long letter and stuff like. Nah, it's none of that.
Yeah.
Man, I actually woke up to like my cousin. We were at the house, and I just heard him like, yo, yo, like just yelling. I'm like, what's going on? I'm coming up out my sleep, and I noticed on my phone before I came out. I'm like, my a producer friend of mine, my brother, he's like, he sends us a text message like, hey, win or lose, fellas, I love y'all my brothers forever. And I'm just thinking it's a regular text message because that's how we talk to each other. Like we always like inspire each other, motivate each other. So I'm like, okay, it's a regular text message. And then I go out and my cousin's like, yo, look at my phone. He shows me the phone. It's an Instagram photo of Maya Smooth Jones' album, Grammy nominated. I didn't even know the nominations were coming out that day. It was
Right.
like complete shock. We didn't even like we had no idea the album was going to be nominated. It was crazy. So we didn't believe it. Like we saw the Instagram post, we didn't believe it for like the entire day until we actually like saw it on the Grammy website. We like, oh, okay,
Wow.
cool. Like this is a real thing. But as soon as my cousin showed me the phone, like he dropped his phone. We hugged each other, started crying. It was a crazy moment.
That's what's up. That's what's
Yeah,
up.
man.
I bet that wasn't a bad feeling at all. And
Oh, no, not at all.
it probably sparked some more motivation. And since then, what have you had your eyes set on, and what were your sights on before? What's your path? What's your goal?
Well, before the Grammy nomination, I was actually along with my partner. We were actually writing a script for a television series that we're writing and putting together, and then the Grammy nomination just came out of nowhere. So that kind of just shifted things back into music because, of course,
Right.
you know,
Business
people
picked up.
want to get right. You know, people want to
Right.
get to work now that you're nominated and stuff like that. So that kind of shifted the focus back to music. So I've still been doing a lot of licensing stuff, trailer music,
Mhm.
you know, those things like that, and also working with a lot of independent artists
Sure.
right now, like a lot of artists that are right on the cusp of breaking. I'm working with a lot of those artists now, so
Mhm.
it's really cool.
And what are some of the traits that you see in artists that are on the cusp of breaking, like you said, and how can you tell, when an artist is going to do well, or um, I guess what when you work with a lot of artists, what are some
Hmm.
traits that you see in some of them that kind of keep moving forward?
Right, right. Well, first thing is like raw talent, of course. Um, I believe in like that real raw talent. Um, so definitely raw talent, like raw, you know, like a raw gift. You have to see a gift in them. Um, let's see, definitely just being somebody who's comfortable being themselves, like who's they're a people person because you have to be for the people. That's who's going to buy your records. That's who's going to give you your money. A
Mhm.
people person, but they have to be comfortable being themselves, like just comfortable in who they are, knowing who they are. I think those are the greatest artists. People who are comfortable with themselves and those who know themselves the most. Like that, I think that makes great artists,
And
along with the raw talent and working hard. And
and so, as a producer, what do you think is kind of necessary to be able to, work with all types of talents, or to be able to sell your work?
um, definitely versatility. Versatility is probably the main thing. Just have to be versatile, be able to do a bunch of different genres. Um, yeah, that I would say that's the main thing.
Okay, and how did you start getting your first, group of clients, your first clientele? When did your career transition from being, a hobby, something that you're practicing, something that you're interested in, that you liked, to becoming a business? And how was that journey?
Yeah, so once I um once I met my cousin, he went to school for business. So as soon as we knew we had something, we decided to start our company early, and this was back in New Jersey before we moved to California.
Mhm.
So in New Jersey, we actually had some steam. Like we did a lot of the independent artists in New Jersey. We were producing for most of them. The
Right.
majority, like everyone had a record from us. So we kind of built that clientele. It started in Jersey, but it was crazy when we first moved out here to California. We didn't know anybody. So for the
Yeah.
first 6 months, it was just me and my partner in the studio creating, and that like and we had no clients. And then we realized we had to start going out and meeting people. We were not like really those guys naturally, but
Yeah.
so
It's
we
probably
realized we had to start going out. We finally started meeting people, and things grew from there.
okay. So you came from the East Coast. You're on the West Coast. What is your perception of the difference between East Coast and West Coast music? And I know you're a versatile individual, but let's talk about hip hop, I guess. Um,
Hip hop.
yeah.
Hmm. Man, hip hop in the East Coast. Hmm. See, when I think of East Coast, West Coast hip hop, I automatically go to the like Biggie and Pac thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just because that's the era I grew up in, that whole big thing, you know? So when I compare East Coast and West Coast hip hop, I feel like I gravitated towards Biggie, not because I didn't like Pac, but because at that time, like when Biggie, at that time when they both were putting out music, I just was more into that party, that, you know, Biggie was into that chill, the party vibe, and I just felt like Tupac was a little more serious, but he was dope, but it was just a little more serious for my time, so I just gravitated towards the East Coast. So that would be I don't know. I guess in hip hop to me that would be the major difference. Like East Coast is like a little more party to me, and over here is like a little more chill, like
Yeah.
going back vibing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely noticed that LA has the appearance of more chill music, no matter what it is. It
Yeah,
a chill vibe. LA is for sure a chill place. How long have you been
yeah,
out
for sure.
there again? How many years?
I'm been out here for 5 years.
Okay, and obviously you like it.
Yeah,
You love
5
it.
years. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I like going back home though too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like going home. I like the season changes.
It's like when it starts getting a little cold out east.
Yeah.
Ooh. So I got a question about licensing, and you mentioned this earlier. I don't
Mhm.
think a lot of I could be wrong, but my assumption is not enough independent musicians know the value of licensing or even understand the concept of it. Can you just break down what
Right.
music licensing is and how independent artists can take advantage of it?
Oh yeah. Well, music licensing is any company or any entity that wants to use your music in as a part of their brand or commercial, anything they want to use your things for, that involves licensing. And that licensing comes with a residual payment.
Hmm.
So residual just means you get paid forever as long as that commercial is running or as long as that, you know, uh, tone is on ringtone is on your iPhone, then you're getting money from that residual use forever. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
it's very beneficial. It's not only it's more so about creating wealth because if you get a really big hit, your kids, kids, kids can, get paid off of something that you did. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like
It's also
Soldier
about
Boy's gonna have
legacy.
hits forever. He's
Oh
got a couple
yeah.
of songs that might never go away.
Oh
He'll be
yeah, for sure. There's a couple people out here
2040
who
old
yeah,
school edition.
yeah, man.
That's
For
awesome.
sure.
And so how do musicians kind of take advantage of this? Are there any large scale platforms, or better yet, is it just through producers like you, companies like yours that handle music licensing? Is it an
Yeah,
inside team, or is it a
it's
live?
a very tight industry.
Yeah,
There are some websites that you can submit your things to. You would just have to Google music licensing websites or something like that. There are websites that do it. But the people you really want to get in contact with are music supervisors.
right.
Those are the people, and that's just about networking and building relationships. They're, once they found their guy, they usually stick with their guy. But if, you build their relationship, if their guy isn't available, you could be, the guy that they call. So
Yeah, cool.
it's just about getting in touch with music supervisors, networking with them, and building relationships.
Awesome. And so when you became a producer and when you opened up the studio with your cousin, you
Hmm.
went out, you found these relationships with artists, you found relationships with music supervisors. Um, how did you get into acting and screenwriting and into the movie side of things?
Well, my cousin is more so into the screenwriting and things like that. That's what he did in school.
Okay.
So he's more into the screenwriting. Um, I'm more so like the really creative guy, like the hands-on creative. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
he sort of was like piloting that, but where I came in, it was more so because I'm going to do a lot of the music for it, of course, like the score and things like that, but also the show was about us, so my input was very important as far as like how the script should go and
Yeah.
how it was written. So
Cool. Yeah, I just had the image of you being out in California as a producer, just kind of working through the Hollywood and the music industry, and I just didn't know if that was kind of part of your original vision, or is it something that just came up and happened to work out.
oh yeah, the
But
reason I named my company media company is because it includes all facets of media. So I'll do all of that. My
What is
aim
it
is to
called?
be like the next Warner Brothers. The Hitless Media Group is the name of my company.
Cool. Very cool. Hitless Media Group. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the aim, to be like the next Warner Brothers, where we do everything. We got music, we got everything, music,
Right.
movies. We want to have our own lot, all of that stuff like that.
100%. That's awesome. That's very
So
cool.
yeah,
God bless you with that. I'm sure you'll continue to have success in that area with your business as well.
yes sir.
So I got a question. I got a few more questions real quick, just before we wrap
Okay,
up. I don't take up too much of your time, but so for
no worries.
an up and coming artist today who's looking to produce, um, and doesn't have his own studio or her own studio, how would you suggest them to, kind of build their client base and work with other artists, to, to get something going for themselves?
Right. Well, I started very humble. I started right in my bedroom, and I used to have people come over, like, start with your friends, and then
Right.
you know, I used to have people come over, record right in my bedroom. But also, it's build relationships with studios. Look for internships. Internships. They may, you may not get money, but they may let you just do something in the studio after hours or something like that.
Right.
So it's building relationships. That's important. But you know, it's not hard to record and produce these days at all. At all.
And so, uh, what do you suggest about artists, in regards to artists who are, purchasing beats online? Um, I guess I don't really have a good question. I don't want to be too contrarian with that either, because I think that,
Uh,
um, I guess, yeah. What do you think about the new movement of musicians purchasing beats online and producers selling beats online? Is that good for the industry in your opinion, or what are your thoughts in general?
oh yeah. On one hand, it's very good for the independent artist and producer. It's probably a lot cheaper. You're
Mhm.
probably getting decent beats, and there have been hit records that have just been purchased online.
Mhm.
So I think it's not always a safe thing, because you hear about a lot of those big records and the producers getting like jerked over because they just sold it online and they're not getting any royalties or anything like that. So
Right.
I think it's always best to have a relationship with your producer, whether it's through online or you know what I'm saying, in person. So I wouldn't personally do it as an artist. But if it's working, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? It's working for people. I'm not mad at it.
Right. Right, definitely. And, how can, producers go and protect themselves? Obviously, if you're selling your work online, it's your decision, and there's not really much you can do about that. But, if there's, an individual that wants to kinda use your services, um, as an independent producer, are there any legal requirements, or are there any contracts that, that they should be aware of in terms of, producing long-term, partnerships?
Oh yeah. I always um sign an agreement with my clients. It's just a producer agreement, a production agreement,
Mhm.
basically stating what you're paying. If that's nothing, it's stating that. Um, it states the term of like what I'm offering for what you're paying for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, and then of course, like things like how long we have to complete this project, and how we're gonna pay, stuff like that. Just different
Right.
little things. So I have a contract that I do with every artist that I work with and produce for. So yeah, I definitely think contracts is a good way. Copywriting is always, you know, one of the top choices. That's always a good thing, just so you're protected. You know, if anything does go left, copywriting will have your back. you know,
Yeah. Yeah, so copywriting the beat, or copywriting the song, or everything, or
copywriting everything. If it's multiple people who contributed on the song, then make sure those people are listed on the copyright and stuff like that, so everyone has their,
Yeah.
their fair share of the copyright.
Cool. Awesome. And what would you suggest, or what would be your piece of advice for an independent artist who's looking to make it into the industry today?
Um, man, let's see. The best, I would say, study. Do your research.
Mhm.
Do your research. Of course, there's no right way to be an artist, and there's no right way to get on. But know as much as you possibly can about the music industry, because when you're walking into entertainment or in the music industry, you're walking into a business. It's the music business. So
Mhm.
make sure you know the business.
Definitely. And what has been the
Yeah.
hardest and the best thing that's happened to you throughout your career so far? Uh, you can include the Grammy nomination, but Grammy nomination aside as well.
Um, I would say probably moving to LA.
Cool.
Moving to LA. Yeah.
Hey
Moving to
man, maybe
LA.
it's
That
staying
would
out
be.
there sometime. That it's been on my mind, brother.
What'd you say?
I said maybe I'll see you out there one day. It's been on my mind for
Oh,
sure.
hey man. So where are you at now?
Right now I'm in Iowa. I'm doing this
Oh, okay.
program. Yeah, I'm in. That's where I was raised actually, but
Nice,
so I'm
nice.
at home with the family visiting. But I've been a couple of different places for sure.
That's dope. Yeah, man. So you've never been out here?
No, I've been to LA like twice.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay, cool. And you like
and
it?
I did. So the first time I went, I had a really good experience. The second time I went, I felt kind of jaded. I feel
Yeah.
like I felt like everybody was trying to figure out, what I was doing, how I could help them. The kind
Right,
of
right.
stereotype, which
Yeah,
wasn't,
yeah,
which is
that's
what
how
it
it is.
is, because in New York, because I lived out in New York, actually right about until December of this year, January of this year actually, and so.
Right,
It's like that in New York too. You go everywhere you go, everybody asks what you do, but it's kind
right,
of
right,
different because there's not as much of like you can wash dishes in New York City and someone be like, okay, cool, whatever, and then like conversation keeps moving. I feel like if someone said they were washing dishes in LA, I don't know, 100%, they
right.
would probably looked at it a different way. So like in New York, people want to know what you're doing, but they still, if you wash dishes, but at the same time you also produce music and
Yeah.
you rap. People are like, okay, cool,
Mhm.
work, let's build, let's do something, whatever. I feel like in
Right,
LA the perception was, oh, you're not, VP of A&R at Sony. All right,
right, right.
next, I'm trying to talk to that guy, and if you're not that person,
Exactly,
why are you waiting? And then
exactly.
you find out that you are that person, then they come right back and say, oh, I was just kind of messing with you. So that's the
Right.
that's the vibe I got. But at the same time, I understand it's a hustle, it's a grind. It's just I do respect the
Yeah,
New York
man.
grind. If I ever go out to LA, I want to be able to understand it. I'm actually trying to make it out this summer, but I would definitely want to be able to understand how the environment works.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a tricky place, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
cool. It's cool if you know how you know how to maneuver and you're very discerning.
exactly,
It's a cool place to be.
exactly. So, but no, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for your time, Demar Aaron,
I
the legend
appreciate it, man.
making. He's written for Grammy nominated songwriters. He is a Grammy nominated producer, songwriter. You're an engineer. You're a singer. Things I
Yeah.
things I should have said is out on Spotify. Is hot. If you got an ex girlfriend or ex boyfriend or ex anything friend want them to hear a message, send them that track.
Word.
Send them that track. Listen to it. It's all good, baby. Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, take care.